Hi everyone, I'm here to discuss your new Megamenu navigation style. This nav is wonderful because there's some great protection to keep your nav looking beautiful. It also is attractive and really helps to organize information for your users to find easily. As you can see, it allows a lot of information. It also allows images. So today we're going to cover first the 3-level navigation style or Megamenu, the more functionality, and as I mentioned, images in your navigation. So let's get started. The 3-level navigation or Megamenu is one of our most popular navigation styles for large district sites. It works great if you have a lot of pages and your parents struggle to find content. It is easy to organize and allows you to have all your information right out there in front. It can be a little confusing from a management perspective, so I wanted to dive into how this works. Let's check out this department section, or in this case, this division section. The top level is division. Okay, the second level is business services, and the third level here is building and grounds, energy management, fiscal services, etc. In the back end, you can kind of see the same sort of structure here. So I've got my divisions page as the top level, the second level being business services, the third level being buildings and grounds, energy management, fiscal services. This is important because you will need to know how to manage these pages and drag and drop them accordingly in order to get your Megamenu style. If there are not 3 levels of pages, for example, this is the student section right here, and it does not have any carets on this second level. So it's 1 level, 2 level, and you'll notice there is no other carets indicating that there is a 3rd level. It will simply do a simple drop down, so just a 2-level nav, like so. So it's going to protect you by saying, hey, we don't want it to look weird, because if all of these are at the second level, you can see the second level ones go horizontally across, and we don't want it to do that. So if it doesn't have any 3rd level pages, it will protect you by having them drop down in a single piece. However, if even one of these has a drop down underneath it, it will suddenly look a little funky where there's a mix between horizontal and vertical, right? And it may not be what you want. It would look pretty funny if there wasn't anything underneath these items. Okay, one other thing to mention on that is for school sites, I really recommend this Megamenu navigation for districts, but for school sites, I tend to say it's better to just go ahead with a single drop down. For a 3-level navigation, which is that Megamenu piece, you do need to look for the 3 levels. So 1st level, right? And then this is the 2nd level, trustees and board. And then under board agendas here, this is the 3rd level, okay? And those ones are there. Some of these are hidden and they won't show up in the nav. So just be aware of that. All right, number 2 that I said we were going to discuss is the more functionality. So the more functionality is a protection because we have a lot of school sites that start running off the page with information here. It gets very complicated. If you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, there's 8 on here. And some designs take a lot of different navigation items better than others. What happens when you have too many items in the nav? Well, it starts not working as well as you want it to. So what we have is a variable to select how many items are allowed to be in the nav. So in this case, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 items can be in the nav before you say, actually there's 8, right? But you can't have any more than 7 on the top level because anything after 7 will go to more. So you can see in the back end, it says divisions, board, calendar, students, parents, staff, employment, and you can't see it here, but staff directory is also on the top level where all these are, except in the CMS, you can see staff directory here, whereas it actually goes to more on the live site. How will you know how many you get In short, you don't until you see the more show up. There is no indicator in the CMS to say how many you get for your design. We can change the number here. So if you're saying, hey, I really only want it to show 5 items until you hit more, or I only want it to show 3 items until you hit more, we can absolutely change that variable to indicate how many items you get before you get to the more. One additional item is that you can also get more in here. So if you go crazy and you go 1, 2, 3, 4, that's at the top level, right? So again, this is for divisions. Now if I start adding more, so I've got these are at the top level. So here we go. And now I want to add some more in this division spot. So I'm going to go ahead and start going crazy. Okay, so now I went ahead and in divisions, I went ahead and turned on all these additional items, and now I'm going to actually go ahead and publish this navigation. So I'm going to say I want to publish. I'm going to force the page upload so that we really make sure this happens. And I'm going to let this start to go. It's going to start minimizing in the background. Okay, so now that it's published, if you look up here at the publish button, you'll be able to click on the site. And when you get in here, you're gonna notice that in divisions, oh, there's some more things. So our nav still looks really nice, but look at all these things in more because it only allowed 1, 2, 3, 4, and then it went ahead and moved on. This particular navigation might be able to pull off one more, right? One more column maybe, but it's gonna start to look really funny. And you know, when we previously did this, it would wrap to 2 lines and go forever, and it really just does not look good. So we're helping to protect you with that, so you still get the information. And you really do need to know how to change these things, because if you wanted this up at the top level, all you would need to do is kind of reorganize it, put it into one of these columns or whatnot, and you know, really strategically identify what are those main columns that you want. So with a mega menu, you can't really just put everything willy-nilly. You really need to make sure that you are adding it in specifically so that, all right, I've got categories of things and this is how I want it to display on my nav. We're going to cover pictures next, you know, you can always do a single level nav by just not adding anything underneath it, or if you're like, hey, I still really need something underneath it, you can hide information underneath it. So you can see there's hidden pages under here under departments. They wanted it to show up. You could just hide those and it wouldn't show up in the navigation, and then you can put links on the page to these because these are still active. Because remember, hidden pages in Catapult are just not linked in the nav. They still exist. One last thing about this organizational structure, like I said, that's all pretty easy. It does not perfectly represent this mega menu in your CMS, and the reason why, there is a ton of JavaScript to do all that you just saw with the more functionality and the wrapping and the making sure it looks perfect theoretically. So you know, it just doesn't do that in this particular CMS system. It will just go ahead and do the single drop down, so it's only showing 1 level, 2 level, and you can preview it and see most of things or publish to staging, though it takes a while. But if you understand the concept of it, it does work pretty well as is, and you just need to know that you're seeing something slightly different in this CMS solution. You just see on those 2 level navs so you can get to the pages, and then you need to preview or publish to staging in order to see your changes. When you publish, it can take a while, but I do suggest force page upload if you're really like, especially with subsites, etc., if you're trying to get it to force into it. Catapult does recognize if you've made a page change and it's going to be a more comprehensive site-wide publish, whereas if you just change one page, it'll just try to change that one text box. So navigation Changes tend to take a little longer, and you shouldn't really have to do this forced page upload. You should just be able to go ahead and publish, and it should make all those changes. Okay, the last item are images in your navigation. So what that can look like is if you go into here and you go to my board, I've got an image in this navigation. Cool, isn't that neat? So that's really great. Any page can have a picture in your navigation that is at this second level. So any second level page can have a picture, and it is linked to that page. So again, 1 level, 2 level, this is 2 level, this is 2 level. Any of those could have a picture. Not all of them might look good, but any of them could have a picture. So just be aware of that. How you get this is, again, you need to make sure that you are getting it done in the actual CMS itself. So if, for example, I wanted in divisions here, I wanted business services to have a picture, I could make this one have a picture here. Now, I wouldn't see all the rest of these business services drop downs, because if you remember, this just has trustees in here. It doesn't really have space for the rest of it. Now, if I go to the trustees page, it still shows anything it has additionally right underneath here, but in the actual drop down, it's just showing that top level page. So again, some complexity there. Let me show you how that works. So we showed you in the board section. In the board section under trustees, you can see this little button right here. That's actually the page properties. In the general page properties, it says meet the board. And if you'll notice, remember up here, underneath there, this is the page name, this is the tagline, and this is the icon, and this is automatically wherever the page is. So in short, tagline, featured photo, you can pull straight from your file manager to pull that. I like to add a folder that says navigation so I know what I'm pulling from, but you don't have to. Your page icon actually goes from the website icons, and we do have some stock icons that we can add in there for you. I haven't added it into this demo site yet, but if you are feeling like you don't have icons to add in there, that is in the advanced settings, and we can add that in if you're using this functionality. And then the rest of this is all just normal. Okay, so we're gonna just go ahead and say save, and with that, or actually I can cancel because I didn't change this one. And that will go ahead and publish that to that location. One other thing is if I wanted policies to also have a picture, so under board, I wanted to do policies and maybe I wanted to move it over here, I could go ahead and move policies right there, right? And it's gonna go ahead and move in the drop down. So you can see under board, policies just moved. And the link also does have the option for a picture. It's under show name options. And so I could say, and I could put a featured photo here. So if I want to just go ahead and pull a photo from something, I could go ahead and put my little photo in here for my policy. I could say that whatever URL I want. So this particular link has this URL, and I could go ahead and hit save, and it would go ahead and go to that location. So now if I publish, it's not going to show up here, but if I publish this again, it will go ahead and publish, and trustees will, right over here, there'll be another picture that goes to that location. So that concludes our discussion of the Megamenu navigation style. It's a really cool new style. Obviously, it is not ideal for everybody, but for people who are looking to add a lot of complex information over to onto their site, it is a really great way to be able to have your information displayed very visually, add pictures into your navigation, and be able to get everything right out there to your parents so that they can see it with a single click. Thank you so much for watching today and learning about how to use our Megamenu navigation. Have a great one and happy editing on your brand new navigation style. I am certain it's going to serve you well. Thanks a lot.